Okay, so welcome all of you who have joined us today. Today is Saturday evening. I understand people have plans with family, but we thought what better than a weekend evening to have some talk with Ajit. So thank you everyone. I would like to welcome all of you, including Ajit. So today I will be the moderator and Lata will be helping me out to moderate if I step out for some time. So I'm glad to present in front of you our very own warrior, Ajit. Most of you who are with our group since past some time know about him and have interacted with him. He was diagnosed with scleroderma when he was quite young, during his teenage only. But delay in understanding and identifying the side effects of scleroderma and later handling of those issues and mismanagement took a toll on his lungs. And he had to look for an option of lung transplant. But mind you, the journey was not smooth. His strong will and courage to fight with family support makes him today what he is. And he is a very strong person, I must say. He is happy now as the worst is over. And after 3 years of his life altering surgeries, I would rather say, he is back to his normal life, working and taking care of his family and his health. He has been a strong pillar with us at Scleroderma India also. Few of you know that we are going to be a charitable trust soon. He has been an instrumental person in supporting us in that journey also. And now I hand him over to talk to all of you. Over to you, Ajit.
Thanks, Neetu, and welcome everyone. As Neetu said, I'm part of this group, and we all share at least one thing is common, is that this whole disease of scleroderma. I was diagnosed when I was 17. It was many years back, and it was a tough. I mean, overall the journey was tough. It has its own ups, downs, and you all know it, and you all have been going through it. So, and eventually I encountered the worst of it, which is basically the scleroderma affecting other internal organs. And I underwent a lung transplant 3 years back. And the cause of why my lung failure happened, which was basically a very simple cause. So the simple cause is the acid from my stomach was entering in my lungs, and that damaged my lung. And believe it or not, this is one thing which happens with every scleroderma patient where the acid enters the lung. So we will talk about this a bit in detail. I made a small presentation just to keep our discussion organized. So let me present that and we start talking from there. Okay, let me share my screen. All right, can you all see the presentation? Neetu?
Yes, Ajit, sorry.
Yes.
Okay, Lata, sure. So, scleroderma is not one thing or not one word, or it is not like one small situation here and there. Scleroderma manifests a lot of issues for us, right from we taking medicines, how many medicines. So I take like 22 medicines every day, 22 pills, literally. What are the effects of those medicines? Then whatever are the complications of scleroderma, how to manage them, and overall how do we conquer this? So basically lifestyle management. So all we can do is, as we all know, there is no treatment for scleroderma. So what we treat is the side effects of scleroderma. Okay, And once we treat side effects of scleroderma, we take medicines for treating the side effects of scleroderma. Okay. And the medicines have their own side effects too. So now we are talking about side effects of side effects. And that's where it becomes a little bit complex. And we need to start managing everything together. Once you start managing everything together, trust me, things will be much, much better for you. Now, believe it or not, like I do now gymnastics. I never did it in my life. After lung transplant, I'm now doing gymnastics, which is a bit unheard of. Even here I live in US now though, but even here, it's the same story. So how I was able to achieve now, and if I show you my blood reports now, they are absolutely normal. Everything in my blood report comes pretty much normal. Why? Because of these smaller things which I do. I mean, my doctor laughs at me. He said, "Oh, you know what? You had a transplant, but your blood report shows that you are healthier than me." And actually, it is nothing but I followed the doctor's advice itself. Yes, but I followed it very seriously, and I followed each and every part of his advice without ignoring it. That's what we'll talk. Let's talk about it. How to, conquer those issues. So, uh, of course, in medicine management, we all are. At one point in time or other point in time, we take immunosuppression, right? Especially when the disease progresses and you have swelling, you have issues happening in skin, you have issues happening here and there. So we all take immunosuppression. Now, immunosuppression have its own problems. We'll talk about those. We all take steroids at some point or other. Somebody takes for 5 days, somebody takes for 50 days, and somebody takes for lifelong, like me. I have to take steroids whole life, apart from immunosuppression. Vasodilators, you will always have problem with your fingers. They will get cold. They will have other issues. So we need to take these medicines to keep our hands warm, toes warm, feet warm, so that we don't get ulcers there. The issues of those, what are those? And why I want you to understand the issues, so that once you understand these issues a bit in detail, you can talk to your doctors with much, much more clarity. Okay. It's very important that we have a continuous dialogue with doctors on how we are feeling, what we are feeling. And scleroderma, it's not one size cut for all. Everybody's complications with scleroderma are different. So it's once you understand this whole thing, once you understand what the problems are and what are the medication, what are the other options available, you'll be able to better talk to your doctor. So let's start. Let's start discussing immunosuppression. Right? We need. We all know there is no treatment for a full treatment for scleroderma, but what we have is to stabilize the disease, right? To keep it where it is, or to stop the progression, because this is a most of the time what I understand is that the scleroderma is progressive. In a rare case, you have limited scleroderma, but those patients are rare, and that's a lot of times a misdiagnosis. So in my case, also in the beginning, first few years, the doctors thought I have like localized scleroderma or a limited, what they call as a limited cutaneous scleroderma, but in reality, it was progressive. So we take immunosuppression just to stabilize it or stop progression. Many medicines are available, right from, I'm sure you all take Cellcept, mycophenolate, to the highest of all, like I take tacrolimus, or the above that is sacrolimus and all, right? If you think in the world of immunosuppression, actually Cellcept is very, very mild form of immunosuppression. So, and most of the scleroderma patients take it. So you need to have, especially when you are progressing, and I want you all to note this point. Whenever you see symptoms of progression in your body, you need to start talking to your doctor about changing or increasing your immunosuppression levels. Because once the immunosuppression level increases, the scleroderma balances or more. So for example, I am on Prograf, which is now after transplant, which is one of the very, very potent immunosuppressor. Like to an extent that if you give Prograf to someone who doesn't know how to manage the drug, and there are many other medicine which needs to be taken with Prograf, the person can die within a month. by getting some random infections. It's that powerful. So with Prograf, I need to take antibiotics, I need to take antifungal and antiviral drugs all the time. So I am on 24/7 antibiotics because of that one medicine program. So immunosuppression, different medicines have different issues, but when you need it, right? So you need to start talking to your doctor about the immunosuppression, the type of immunosuppression you're taking. Whenever you see any disease progression, uh, people do not understand immunosuppression in India. So, acha, ek goli leni hai. You take one tablet and take it. No. Any immunosuppressive drug, including Celsep, which you take, creates crazy number of infections in your body. Some infections you can see and feel it. You'll have fever, you'll have swelling, you'll have nausea, you'll have dizziness. Um, um, you'll have many other things, but there are many infections which are dormant and which become active at a very slow activity level, and they start affecting you. So it will create infections, and there are three type of infections we know, right? We know bacterial, fungal, viral infections. So you need to talk to, at some point in time with your doctor that how do we manage immunosuppression, and before that you need to manage yourself. Actually, we all scleroderma warriors should be thanking to coronavirus. And because of coronavirus, we all have now become so conscious of maintaining hygiene, of remaining away from infections, sanitizing hands, wearing masks. Ideally, I would say as a scleroderma patient, whenever you're out in a very big crowded area, always wear mask because you don't know how many infections you are breathing with the air which you are taking in. And due to the immunosuppression, you get sick. Now, when I was in India and I studied immunosuppression, every month I will keep getting throat infection, this infection, discomfort in lungs, ulceration, infection in ulcerations. I mean, there are so many things. But I was never taught by our doctor, by the therapist and the doctors that you need to be very careful with the immunosuppression. Yes, doctors say that, but we all don't take it seriously. And the doctors there are busy, right? They cannot give you hours and hours of time. Here, unfortunately, I was in hospital for 3 months. So they taught me everything like a baby. The nurses were around, the doctors were around. So point I'm saying that with immunosuppression, you need to know you will get infections. And you need to keep telling your mind that you want to do something to avoid infection. Be it sanitizing, when you are back home from outside, wash your face, do mouthwash regularly. Oral hygiene was a very big part of it. Chlorhexidine mouthwash works amazing for scleroderma patients. Wash your hands all the time, and if not wash, sanitize it, and all. Okay. One very, 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 very important thing. All of you people who take medicines, please take medicines at the same time. You cannot keep changing timing of medicine. And again, we are very used to, okay, then we have to take medicine 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, evening. We don't have a defined time. What is the meaning of morning? We don't have defined time. What is the meaning of afternoon? Now, always remember these medicines maintain a particular level of this particular compound in our blood. So, for example, if a medicine is active for 8 hours, now today you take medicine in the morning at 8 o'clock, okay, and tomorrow you take second dose at 6 in the evening. Third day you take 2 in the afternoon. Fourth day you take 4 in the afternoon. The level of this medicine in your blood is fluctuating, right? And if it is fluctuating, it's not going to help you enough. Sometimes the level of medicine will be so much, your kidney will filter it out. Now, once kidney filters it out, this medicine, instead of remaining in your blood for 8 hours, then it remain for only 6 hours. So you need to take any medicine at the same time. Even vitamins, if you take, your body gets used to it and maintains a level. So fix a time, whatever is convenient, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and put alarms in your phone. Nowadays, we have such nice phones, right? We have these smartphones, which are not so smart, but at least alarm works very well. So put alarms at the same time. Taking medicines at different time. So we have patients, I counseled a patient after transplant, they went in rejection. Their body started rejecting the organ. And we were all talking doctors and, So when we interviewed the patient and detailed, we came to know, oh, this patient for past 6 months has been taking his immunosuppressive medicines at the random time. Believe it or not, his body went in rejection. They started rejecting his organ because immunosuppression, the moment the level goes low, your immune starts attacking the new organ. And when the immunosuppression is high, because of the high level of immunosuppression, his kidney starts getting affected. We will talk about that next thing. But I'm trying to tell you that instead of getting into complicated discussion, take medicine at the same time. Promise yourself that come what may, you will not take medicines more than plus minus 15 minutes of difference. Do not do that otherwise. Okay. Next is any immunosuppression affects the kidney. We need to be, and I have put some things ahead. You need to always help your kidneys to kind of reduce the side effects of this medicine. Otherwise, eventually, these they will create kidney issues for us. Okay. Uh, some point in time, we are very used to going to only rheumatologists because that's how it is in India. But you need to keep, because of the immunosuppression and the infection of immunosuppression are best dealt by the infectious disease doctors. You should once in a while consult them. And if you have never consulted them so far, I will really encourage that, just go to some who's an infectious disease expert and talk to the doctor and tell them this is what you're taking so many years. Is there something you should be doing it? Is there something you should be adding to your medication to protect you from future infections? It's really important. Any infection is gonna disturb your life, so it's better you take care of. Moving on, steroids. Not all of you take it every day, but those who are taking steroids for longer term, you need to know that steroids have a major effect. They deplete your bones very badly, and that creates very high risk of fractures. And you won't even come to know that steroids somebody took for a year, and it happened with me. So once we went for a vacation, I just fell down, uh, and I ended up fracturing one of my rib. It happens. That's what the problem is, right? So you need to do a lot of steroid management, which I have seen again. A lot of time patients get casual with it, and the management is simple. You need to take calcium with it. You need to take D3, but talk to your doctor because all these things have their own side effects. This is what doctors do with me here. Not necessarily this is good for you guys. So talk whenever you're steroids. You should always ask the doctor, hey, will it have any issues with bone depletion? Should I be supplementing it with calcium? I've read about it, I've heard about it, but do not take any medicine with your choice. And I would suggest a lot of time we just go and pick up any supplements in market, this this medicine, that medicine, but always remember a lot these medicines interact with each other, especially your immunosuppressors. So never take any medicine without talking to your doctor. Get it approved. A lot of people will give you gyan and this ye le lo, wo le lo. Don't do that. That will really get a problem. Okay. So problem with steroids and a lot of these medicines is you will have a lot of muscle cramping, you'll have pain, muscle atrophy, and I've covered it later. So we'll talk about it once we reach there. Vasodilators, we all at some point in time need it. The challenge with vasodilators is that, by the way, I've written good amount of information in these slides, so you guys can read it later. But you need vasodilators to take care of your hands. All my life, my hands remain good, but after transplant, I ended up in some issues and lost some of my fingertips. And we will talk about that ahead. But you need to keep protecting your fingers and hands and toes and how to do it. And if you are not on vasodilators and if you have still cold fingers or cold feet and you have scleroderma, talk to doctor that whether he should put you early on these vasodilator medicines. Okay, because the earlier you start these medicines, if you need it, the better it is, then you will not have those bad effects on your hands. So this is prophylactic antibiotics. What I mean, again, with scleroderma, immunosuppression, you keep getting these infections. And I've seen here in doctors recommend taking these antibiotic doses. So for example, because of Prograf, as I was telling you earlier, I need to take antibiotics all 6 days in a week. But every immunosuppression has a different issue and a different type of problem which it can create, and you need to take different other medicines to protect yourself from the side effects of the medicine. So talk to your doctor on any immunosuppression you are that, and ask them, should you be taking any prophylactic antibiotics? Prophylactic antibiotics basically means they are very, very mild antibiotics. They just help you enhance or add some to your immune and to protect you from any infections which you can create from immunosuppression. So talk again, tell doctor that should we do like antibiotic course once in a 6 months, once in 3 months. If yes, which course we should do. If no, it's okay. How do we manage it? All those discussions you have to keep having with your doctor. This is the craziest thing, acidity. Now, I'm sure all of you who are here have acidity or one way or other issues, or you'll feel the food stuff coming up. Now, acidity is created in our body, in every human body, not only us. In our thing, the problem is that the acid comes up, and when acid comes up, Neetu, can you can I go to my video so that I want to show them am I can apart from presentation, can you see me on the screen? Can't hear you.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, we can see you, Ajit.
Okay, Lata. Great. Thanks. So we have esophagus here, right? So when we eat, the food goes down here, it goes through esophagus and goes down in your stomach. And between stomach and esophagus is a wall. It's called splinter. When you eat food, the wall opens, food kind of goes in, and the wall closes. Now, scleroderma, in most of the cases, affect this wall. The wall becomes weaker and the wall opens up. So now imagine you have a bottle without a cap. Obviously, when you shake the bottle, move the bottle, that stuff will come out. That's what exactly happens with you. Okay. When the acid comes up, it starts affecting you in many, many, many ways. It will start affecting your esophagus. And the more acid keeps going in esophagus will become weaker, and that creates swallowing issues. I'm sure you all have some or other way issue with swallowing, especially early in the morning. An acid, when we lie down, right, the acid comes to your throat, and the throat has a mechanism to stop acid from entering in the lungs. But over a period of time, those mechanisms also become weaker with scleroderma. And the micro droplets, literally, and which you can see at microscopic level or something of acid, they enter in your lung. So when you lie down, especially in the nights, this acid will enter in your lung and start disturbing your lung. And over years and years and years, it starts your lung will start having lesser and lesser efficiency, and eventually it turns into fibrosis. But this process takes numbers of years. It doesn't happen overnight. It took me probably 20 years. The way to save this is sleeping at an angle. You have to, all of you, I'm sure your doctors are telling you to sleep at angle. Mostly it is written in the prescription or everywhere. You have to sleep at this angle, at least 30 degree. If you sleep at 30-degree angle, I can tell you either your lung issues may not arise in future, or if they arise, that will be very, very minimal. That will be livable with. So basically, your headboard, just where you have your head is, just raise that side up. Use the bricks or use anything. Use those wedges, but wedges more effective than wedge. Using a wedge is using the bricks. So I lost my lungs only because of this reason, because when I used to sleep, the acid will seep into the lungs. And this one thing couldn't be diagnosed. I kept telling everyone, all my therapists, all my physicians, I feel acid, it just comes up. And I just cough in the middle of the night. I'll have such bad cough. I'm sleeping in deep sleep and suddenly I'll wake up coughing. So if you have those kind of symptoms, then means acid is going in your lung. Okay. You should then talk to your doctor again, but start sleeping at a 30-degree angle. You have to. If you don't, then you will have your challenges with lungs. And I know I'm repeating it again, but I lost my lungs only because of acidity. And acidity, you can say, oh, I take antacid. No, but antacid can neutralize the acid, but stomach has many more things. Stomach has bile juices. Stomach has food which you ate, salt, sugar, chili, nice chaat masala. Everything goes up and then goes in your lung, right? And I'm sure your lung doesn't want to eat chaat. It's not tongue. Tongue wants to eat chaat, not the lung. And you don't want lung to be tasting the chaat masala. And that's all happens. So you may not have acidity, but you may have chaat masala entering in your lung and having a party. Please, my sincere request to you guys is that sleep at angle. If you have night cough, especially, you need to start talking to your doctor that how do you manage it. Of course, they eventually ended up doing a surgery called fundoplication. So I was explaining with esophagus. At the end of esophagus, they put a rubber band. So kind of rubber band, what you put in your choti, right? And especially girls have that rubber band which you put, or you put on a dabba or currency notes. That exactly that same kind of thing they do in your esophagus, and they tighten it. And once the esophagus tightens, acid doesn't come up, acid doesn't pass through it. So that's fundoplication. But if you have major acidity and major coming up to your throat and all, talk to your doctor. Okay, let's move forward. Blood circulation and skin changes. We all face this. You won't believe, our biggest enemy is water. When you come out washing hands, we wipe with the towel casually and we walk away. We don't realize that there are few traces of water on our hand. And as and when water evaporates, it takes away heat from your hand. And once it takes away heat from your hand, the blood vessel narrows and your hand starts feeling more and more cold. We just don't realize it. We say, हाथ ठंडे हो रहे हैं, हाथों में दर्द हो रहा है, अरे हाथ नीले हो गए. So many issues comes up. What you need to do, you have to always be conscious that you have to keep your hands warm. You come out of, so I literally outside my bathroom, I have hair dryer. So I wash my hands, come out and, dry it with hair dryer. Very important. Especially now winters are coming in. If you won't do this, you will see your hand becoming cold and, it's giving you a lot of pain and irritation and everything. Don't wet your hands frequently. Try using sanitizers or some other mechanism to wipe and keep it disinfected. But yes, we need to wash hands. But if you wash, try hair dryer and all, and it will help you. Trust me, it will help you. You should wear cotton gloves in the daytime. There are nice soft cotton gloves which come there. Like you won't even come to know that you're wearing. And the best thing in cotton gloves is if you have a sweat, it will keep absorbing your sweat. And if you're swelling, like I do have swelling, if you notice in my fingers, so that keeps tight the cotton gloves, and the swelling keeps reducing. And you will like your hands will start turning nice pink, and the color will be pretty good. The swelling will go away from your hands because of the stiffness of the hand gloves around your fingers. So if you ever have got some major swelling, doctors will put on a, like, suppose if you have swelling in hand, they'll put on a sleeve to you. It's like an elastic cloth which kind of holds this hand tight. So it's like a sleeve for your finger. So do that. In the night, you must, and I'm repeating again, you must wear woolen gloves at sleep. There are many types of woolen gloves. Simple ones, or you want Alaskan, and I had promised Neetu that I'll put a picture, but I'll send it to Neetu later again. Sorry, Neetu, I missed. But Google it. What is Alaskan gloves? Alaskan gloves are thick woolen gloves. Because Alaska is a super cold area, and that area has like 9 months out of 12 months, like thick 8-inch layer of snow and ice. They use it. Must. It's not an option. You have to wear gloves and sleep in the night. Why? Because when you sleep in the night, your blood circulation, your heart rate reduces. There is a lesser circulation of blood in your hands and in your body going in. And once you have even lesser circulation with stiff blood vessels, your hand starts actually becoming bad in the night even more, because there's no blood flow going to hands. And in the night, because you're sleeping, you don't even realize, oh, my fingers have become numb, my hands have become numb. So please wear gloves if you want safety of your and beauty of your fingers, especially for girls. please wear them in the night, gloves. Okay. Vasodilators help. You need to, the moment you feel cold fingers and cold feet, talk to doctor. There are nice vasodilator. You can just put that ointment on the hand, rub it, and put it your hand in the gloves and sleep. You will have nice repaired hands in the morning. Especially even if you have these ulcers and problem, you'll see they start disappearing slowly, slowly. If you use the vasodilator ointments, and they are very cheap. If you see any skin changes, like a lot of discoloration happens, scleroderma problem, try to take collagen protein. Nowadays, it is available in Amazon. Earlier, there was a problem in India not to get, but now you have collagen protein very easily available in the market. So please, if you want, you can take it and use it for yourself, and that will, trust me, your skin starts glowing. Literally, you will have a baby glow. That's, especially, I know girls are conscious. I mean, guys, it doesn't matter, right? But the girls are very, very conscious about the skin. So a lot of us face this problem. The only solution, what I have heard and which really worked for me, of course, you can take Crocin, and of course, doctor, it's over the counter, and you can talk to doctor also. The second is you need to do a lot of leg exercise, especially squats, if you can do, and I'm sure you all know what squats are. That really helps with this pain. And third, they suggest, but like, take CoQ10, coenzyme Q10. It's over the counter medicine. If you take that with every day, then this pain goes away or reduces. It's a natural product, and you can just go and get it in Amazon or go anywhere. You need to increase your protein intake, because protein intake also helps with this pain. That's what my nutritionist and doctors told me, and that's what I do. So in your food, if you be conscious about taking more protein, you will see some changes over a period of time. That remedy is not overnight, but it takes time, and you will get it. Okay. So, yeah, wait. Yeah. I was very quickly going through these slides so that we can have more questions, and I can talk more in the end on general things. Exercise. So, if some of you know me and you heard me in the beginning, I did say I do gymnastics. Because of transplant, they had to cut me open right from here to here. All my ribs were cut because they had to open and put lungs in. I have almost 36 holes in my chest because of the various tubes they had put in, including the ventilator hole. I had ventilator 32 days. I lost my fingertips because of transplant. Now look at this. I lost my fingertips. If you can see my picture in the video and whatever, right? But still, the exercise changed everything. And scleroderma is very strange. Because of the side effect, the body pulls you, you feel just stretched, you feel irritated, you feel mild pain everywhere, and your body stops you from doing exercise. But trust me, once you overcome your mind and your feeling of your body and you do exercise, you will see a super amount of change in your thing. Everything in your body, your eating, your swallowing, your pain, your lifestyle difficulties, oxygen issues, everything improves. One of the most important thing which we all don't know and don't understand, or we are not given enough education in, again, in our lifetime, is that with exercise you create what they call as the free ion oxygen, O3. O3 helps you kill all the infections in your body. And you would have seen those who exercise, they never fall ill, right? We say, अरे ये तो exercise करता है, ये कभी बीमार नहीं होता. Why? Have you heard these things? And if yes, think about it. Why? Because exercise creates O3, and O3 goes and kills any infection, microorganisms, or bugs, what they call it. Bacteria, viruses, fungus in the body. But unless it's like a free antibiotic in your body. It's in your hand to get it. And once you get it, trust me, you will not have too much of issues left for infection. You have to do exercise minimum thrice a week, at least 1 to 2 hours, and not which is not much. I mean, you can spend 4 hours on yourself in a week, but we feel lazy. Our body doesn't allow it. We rather watch TV than do exercise, which is also fine. Then you can figure out some exercises you can do while watching TV, like take some dumbbells at home, 10 pounds, 5 pounds, and just keep exercising. Like, get the dumbbell in hand and keep doing it when you're watching the TV, but keep doing it. You have to do exercise thrice a week. You have to keep yourself fit. And we have, many scleroderma warriors who have shared their stories. They do a lot of cardio exercises and running, and look at them. That helped them really come out of scleroderma side effects so well. So, and when you run, it increases blood flow in your hands, in your legs. It reduces inflammation and swelling in your body. Now, believe me or not, the day I do exercises, the swelling in my finger kind of reduces 60%. It's interesting. So if you do that, it will help you. Chest exercises you need to do. You need to do push-ups. You need to do, and I mean, even for women, because chest exercises will expand the chest cavity, the inner cavity where the lungs are, and you'll be able to breathe better and better over a period of time. So slowly start. You can see YouTube videos. You can see talk to instructors and figure out what are the good, chest expansion exercises for you. That will really help you. You need to do exercises which includes all joints. For example, Surya Namaskar is very good. It stretches your entire body. It works on a lot of joints in your body, and helps you, because scleroderma affects one thing which it affects very directly is go and hits your joints. We get all these swollen nodes here. You might have, issue in your joints, in your in everywhere, every moving part of your body. Uh, Ab exercises you need to do. I realize one thing, because I do a lot of ab exercise. I'm a very overconscious person. I don't like to have a tummy, and my tummy comes because of steroids. But ab exercises also help in keeping your kidney, liver, pancreas, intestine very healthy. And it's very simple. Ab exercise is nothing difficult. When you're lying in the bed, suppose, right? You push your legs up at a 50-degree angle straight and hold it for a minute or 30 seconds. So firstly, you won't be able to hold it more than 15-20 seconds. Then do 30, then 40, then 1 minute. Watch your TV, read whatever you're doing. Keep your legs a little higher. So the more ab exercise you do, the more the stomach muscle areas will start becoming stronger. They will support your kidney and liver, which is what gets most affected by all your medicines. Uh, you have to take protein shake. uh, uh, Again, we are not trained over a period of time. We are said, "Arey, protein shape kharab hota hai, ye hota hai." No. Whenever you do any exercise, your body consumes your muscle. Muscle is like fuel for body. You would have seen people who go to hospital, they come back, their weight reduces, right? They lose muscles, they lose fat. Why? Because it's fuel for your body, and your body consumes the fuel. So there are two types of major fuels in body, right? Three types. One is instant calories. You had your sugar, chocolate, that goes in your blood, and that gets consumed first. Whatever you don't consume sugar, it converts into fat. And then, so second fuel is fat, and third is protein. And protein is the most important, the vital fuel in your body. You need to hold back on that. So you say, "Ye patla lagta," or you see the person is looking down, the person is not looking, is not face is not glowing, skin is not glowing, is because of less less muscles in your body and more fat, or absence of both. So you need to have protein shake while doing exercise, because the when you do exercise, your body consumes your muscle immediately. I know I'm trying to explain you technical things, but I'm trying to give you a logic so that you can think and you can go to Google. I know you all will go to Google and read about this after our presentation, so you will understand these things more. You have to have a protein shake when you do exercise, and just figure out any protein shake is fine which has 12 grams to 24 grams of protein. Calories, the lesser the calories, the better, especially, for girls. So see some protein which has not more than 100 per serving, not more than 100, 120 or 140 calories. It will really, really help you. And I promise you, when you take collagen, also has a protein, by the way. Once you take collagen itself is a protein, and that's another way your skin glows. The moment you start taking this protein shake, your skin will glow again. You will see better, a lot of time we find this hanging fat here and there. You will start see your body tightening up. You'll get more muscles, and it will help you more and more over a period of time. No change happens in one day. You'll have to give yourself 5 months, 6 months to really work on it. Okay. Uh, I think I emphasized exercise enough, and I can tell you today, whatever I am, back to my life, and I do gymnastics, and if I show you my videos, and Neetu has seen some, and Neetu probably thinks that I'm a crazy guy. I go on high bar, I go upside down, I do this, I do flips, I go in the air, flip 2 times and then comes down. I go on the bar and do the swings. So I do, and I run a mile. Uh, so it's all because of exercise. And I'm telling you, जब आप exercise करो, अच्छा, another thing. When you start exercising, first 15 days you will have pain in the body, and that demotivates you. अरे, if I do exercise, फिर दर्द होगा. अरे, मेरे को पैर में दर्द होता है. अरे, मेरे को take Crocin. Pain cannot be an excuse for recovery. I can tell you, I had a level of pain they had to give me literally drugs, opioids, what you call, to calm down my pain. Almost cocaine level of opioid medications they used to give me just to calm down my pain. They used to give me a medicine. I don't want to give you the name, but that medicine is used in anesthesia. When you go for surgeries, they push you. That medicine they had to give me to calm down the pain. But I told myself that I will not stop because of pain. I'll keep exercising. दर्द होगा तो क्या होगा? गोली ले लो. But for pain, you not exercising and not recovering your body doesn't make any sense. And especially women, right? You are more conscious about yourself than we males. It's very natural human thing to do, right? And my really request is that ignore pain. Tell your mind, okay, I will think about pain, but not this 1 hour when I'm exercising. Just go push yourself. Do everything. Do whatever you can do. When you're standing, do wall push-ups. खड़े होके wall पे 5 बार just you'll see changes happening in your upper shoulder and upper chest areas. When you're standing in the kitchen, stand on one leg. That puts more pressure on your thighs and it repairs your muscles of thigh. You don't realize it, right? Standing on one leg for 30 seconds to 1 minute strengthens your thighs. It reduces the fat level there and it increases the muscles there. Simple things. You don't need to do too complicated stuff. When you're standing, right? Like keep doing this, keep increasing blood flow in your fingers, just helps. When you're sitting watching TV, squish the ball, or you have those fidget spinners, or fidget spinners actually are not a great idea, but squish the ball and that will keep increasing the blood flow in your hands. Simple thing again, it's not too difficult to do it. What is difficult is to develop consciousness in your mind. That is difficult. Doing exercise is not difficult. What is difficult is to convince yourself that, listen, I live for world. I live for my husband, for my kid, for my son, for my mother-in-law, father-in-law, my mother, father, chacha, tau, mau, everyone. But you need to live for yourself also. Give just few hours to yourself in a week. You can give 3 hours, 4 hours to yourself in a week. So please, I cannot emphasize you enough. And if you're not seen my transplant video, go to YouTube, put my name Ajit Tolani, and see the kind of things how bad I was and how I recovered now. But exercise and protein shake, you have to have protein shake. Otherwise, you will see again you'll decline with exercise. You need to do well. Go to Amazon, order any cheap protein, doesn't matter, but you have to have. I see some participant yawning, so let's move forward. I'm just kidding. Diet. Oh my God, I cannot emphasize this enough. Especially you girls, stop eating carbohydrate in the night. No rice or no chapati or something. Or you can have one chapati. So what I do, my doctor said, I eat actually one chapati. but I eat 3 bowls of vegetables. I eat literally. My wife gives me 6 spoons of rice, counted. That's what my nutritionist has permitted me. 6 spoons of rice, but 3 bowls of dal. When we have rajma chawal, I actually eat like 2 bowls of rajma. I don't eat chawal, literally. And you see the difference in yourself. In 1 month, you'll start shedding all this excess fat here, 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 there. Avoid carbohydrates in the night. But the word is, what did I say? I did not say stop. I'm saying avoid. So if you start with, not having carbohydrate once in a week, then twice a week, thrice a week, give your body. My nutritionist here told me the mantra of having right nutrition is to eat everything. The question is how much and when. And most of the time people will say, एक काम करो ना, crash diet कर दो. Because crash diets, if you do, you will lose vital nutrition in body also. No? Your body is used to absorbing, say, nutrition from samosa. But if you won't give body, suddenly some of your body will go in a zippy. What is happening? Why am I not getting? So do a gradual change and eat everything. I eat everything. I'm on steroids. The biggest problem with steroids is your blood sugar level goes high. But I have been managing pretty fine. My fasting sugar comes below 100 just because I don't eat carbohydrates in the night. I eat sweets. Pehle, I used to eat sweets, chocolates at random time. But my doctor said, you know what you should do? Eat sweets before exercise. Eat whatever amount of sweets you want to eat. And 1 hour after that, do your exercise. So it will help you 2 ways. The sweets will not enter your body and turn into fat. And because you have so much more calories, instant calories in your blood, you'll be doing better exercise. I hope you understood what I'm saying. That if you eat sweet before exercise, it gives you 2 benefits. It doesn't get converted into fat in your body, and because they're instant calories, you'll be able to, suppose you are exercising half an hour and getting tired, then that day you'll be able to do 45 minutes and you will not get even tired. Eating things at the right time is very important, and eating right things at the right time is important. But not eating things is bad. You have to eat everything. Have your sugar, have everything. I think that's what at least my nutritionists tell me. Uh, Kidneys, you need to be very mindful of. These medicines affect our kidneys so badly. We don't want to, at later age die of dialysis. Trust me, that's bad. So protect your kidneys now. Uh, Try to reduce or moderate your sodium intake. Basically, honestly, now though I eat fika khana. I just don't like salt anymore. It's a habit. Salt was a habit. So my wife started gradually. For 1 month, she reduced a little bit salt, then little bit, then little bit. Over 6 months, 1 year of time, almost nil salt we eat. Uh, I explained you carbohydrate and cholesterol, especially our lovely ladies. Please avoid fatty foods, fried food. Anyway, especially in the night when you have fried food and sleep. Remember, acid will trigger. It will go again to your throat, and it will go. The oil will go and have party in your lungs. You don't want that. Trust me. Or if it doesn't go in your lung, through your stomach, it will go down to the gut and it will do party your entire body by way of converting into fat. So again, uh, avoid fatty foods. So that closes presentation, and I would rather take questions, Neetu, because people should have some questions, unless they all have become champions of this whole all topics.
Thank you, Ajit, for such a wonderful presentation. Okay. So actually, we did get one question. So in the meanwhile, I'll ask everybody, in fact, I will request everyone, either you can send your questions in the chat window or please unmute yourself and you can start asking your questions to Ajit directly. So Ajit, first question which we got in the chat window was like, when you were going through scleroderma and all these things in your life, how did you manage your work and your life? Because this disease gives you a lot of stress. And in your case, especially, when you had gone for a transplant and you said, you were on ventilator for more than a month. So how did you manage your life and work during that time?
Uh, okay. A Actually, if you focus on your work, that help helps you diverting your focus from scleroderma and its ill effects. Uh, I'm a pretty workaholic person. I had a very self-imposed disciplined life that no, 9 o'clock I have to be at my workstation. Until 6 o'clock, I wouldn't think about anything and I'll just do work. That's one. Second thing, what scleroderma does, it triggers anxiety, stress, and the anxiety comes not from like the mental anxiety also. Because the disease itself, scleroderma itself is going and affecting your everywhere in your body. That itself triggers a sublime level anxiety. So I went to a psychiatrist early on. I mean, in India, there's no concept of psychologist, right? So I went to a psychiatrist, and they had put me on some very low grade, a non-habit forming, lifelong kind of anti-anxiety and anti-depression pills, and those really helped me. Those things kept me always happy, very positive, and it kept me active, I would say. And but still, I had my own moments of lows and highs and depression, but those things really helped me. So if you feel too much of anxiety and stress, yeah, do talk to psychiatrist. It's nothing wrong. It's a taboo saying, oh, psychiatrist ka sirf pagal log jate hain. No, it's a normal thing. I still take one antidepressant pill every day, Cymbalta. But again, you have to go and get your prescription because these medicines are very specific. And try to, when your doctor, if you are going to a psychiatrist and he prescribe, try to talk and deliberate with the doctor on what medicine he's giving you and why he thinks is the right, and try and request him to prescribe you something which is non-habit forming, so that tomorrow you decide that you want to now go on say meditation and get rid of these medicines, and you can do it. So if you have non-habit forming drugs, yeah, that helped me. I'll be very So yeah, that was pre-transplant. Post-transplant, I was devastated. You know, I really I was a high flyer in India. I used to fly 4 days. I'm a lawyer, and I had cases in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore. And honestly, Monday morning I would know that I'll be in Bangalore, but I wouldn't know Monday evening where I'll be. So anyway, with those lifestyles and these. So okay, long story short, I don't want to confuse. Talk to. It's okay to go to a psychiatrist. Uh, One thing more, yeah, and this is a very India-centric issue. What happens in India, if you go to one doctor, they may or may not recommend you to go to other doctors. I don't know why is that tendency, but here in US, they said, okay, scleroderma triggers these 5 problems. What does it trigger? It triggers calcium depletion, so they sent me to an endocrinologist. Oh, he has a depression issue. They send me to a psychiatrist. Okay, he has a kidney. We need to check his kidneys. Let's send him to kidney expert. Skin, because immunosuppression programs can create skin cancer. Every year they send me for checkups. And one doctor who's central, he monitors all these doctors and coordinates. India, unfortunately, I don't see that kind of system. So you have to do that for yourself. You have to take charge of yourself. Please do it. Okay. Please take charge of yourself. Go talk to the doctors. And it's okay. Anything, see, end of the day, we know 5 things get affected with this, right? Lung, go to pulmo once in a year, pulmonologist, kidney, endocrinologist, go once in a or two, once in 2 years. Just have a talk with a kidney doctor saying, hey, I want you to take a look at it, talk to me, or tell me what all. Like I have many now, this friends, doctor friends. I keep asking, hey, what can I do more to protect myself? And they say, Hurry, already you do so much, yeah. So no, tell me. And they will. You never know. One doctor will be, you know what? थोड़ा तू salt कम कर यार. You won't believe the moment I reduce my salt, my creatinine levels are like awesome. In the next report, they're flat like towards the lower level of creatinine. It's a very small tip, right? Keep talking, keep having a dialogue with the doctor. Okay. So yeah, and post transplant, I was devastated. So a psychologist came. I remember she spoke to me for 6 hours, Neetu, believe it or not. And the only time I remember in my life I ever cried was that. She's like, what happened? Like, you gave me transplant, but I'm stuck to. Oh, when I came out from transplant, nothing in my body would move. It was like a paralytic body because I didn't have muscles. Only these hands would move. वो भी आधा इतना ही हाथ हिलता था. And the neck, the legs were like paralytic. So I got depressed. So she said, no, this is part of recovery. And she explained me the process. She gave me examples. So yeah, going to psychologist if you can afford also helps. And they talk you out of it. Or you, India, luckily you have friends. You have these forums like us. You know, if you any of those stress, anxiety, Neetu is there. Talk to her. Talk to Lata. Talk to me. Neetu has my number, or talk to anyone and try to work upon it. I did that. I talked to many, many, many people and understood things and implemented, and that helped.
Thank you, Ajit. That was, you actually very swiftly you talked about few points which are very essential. I would just like to take a minute to come back to the same things. You talked about two things. Firstly was, like talking to your doctors, which is very important. And I think even at Scleroderma India, we also have been telling people you have to be your own advocate when you are going to a doctor or going for a doctor's appointment. Just create a list of questions. Be your own advocate. Don't leave everything to the doctor. Yes, you have to trust your doctor, but you have to be your charge of your health. At the end of the day, it's your life. So you have to be your own in charge. And another point which I would like to just touch upon, which Ajit beautifully mentioned, that, he had to talk to psychologists, counselors, during his transplant journey and during his recovery phase also. And I think if everybody can remember, even I have been iterating that point since past 6 months, ever since COVID started, because we know that scleroderma gives you a lot of anxiety. Scleroderma can lead you to depression. If not, if not depression, it gives you a lot of negative thoughts. And with a lot of things going in your life, your personal life, work life, and with scleroderma, it gets very difficult at times to manage everything. So that's why, as Ajit mentioned, these kind of forums, and everybody over here, we are there to help you out. You are not alone. And one very important thing which I would just like to say is, we understand, the mental health is not a mainstream topic to discuss in India. But at Scleroderma India, this year, we have taken it upon us to bring mental health, if not to everyone, but at least to our sclero warriors and their families. So we tied up with the, counselor group, and they are helping us out to talk to the patients. And few patients are actually taking help from our group. They are talking to them, they are taking sessions from them. And uh, please, if any one of you feel that they don't want to talk to even me, or even Ajit over here, or as I mentioned, Lata, or we have a couple of other people in our group with which you can feel comfortable. You don't want to talk to any one of us, that's all right. We understand that. So we have counselors, just speak to them. And the way to, get in touch with them is just drop me a message. I will direct you to the counselors, and everything which you discuss over there is off bound for us. So the dialogue has to be between you and them. So even we want to help you out in that area where we understand that mental health is an area which costs a lot of money in India. And secondly, people say it's a taboo. So I think it's time to actually take that taboo aside, and let's talk about any mental health issue like we talk about our pains, our headache, our toothache, or any other pain which we get with scleroderma. So I think I took a lot of time explaining that. So
No. And one more thing, Neetu, I want to add. So
Yes, please.
I do meditation. I did Vipassana meditation, and meditation helps. So do any kind of meditation if you guys can. It it will really help you. And another thing, love yourself. A lot of time we start thinking, oh my God, how am I looking? How is skin? If you won't love yourself, how will world love you? How will your loved ones love you? Right? A lot of time we get into this lot of ifs and buts. कि ऐसा क्यों लग रहा है, skin stretched लग रही है, I'm becoming darker, I'm doing this. Oh, I don't feel like doing. We just keep brewing things in our head. No, clarify your mind. There is this whole concept that love yourself first. It sounds theoretical, but go Google it, read these articles. So when I came from transplant, I became so ugly. This whole body was cut, splitted in so many parts, and my fingers were like ghost fingers. If I show you those pictures, if you've seen that movie Khuni Panja, my hands used to look like that. But then I realized, okay, I mean, I don't love myself now, but I need to bring myself to a level where I start loving it. So I worked hard. I worked 1 year, 2 years, did a lot of exercise, did everything right, and now it's all awesome. On my wife's birthday, I took her up in my arms and
Oh
walked.
wow.
So I could do that. Which believe me or not, before transplant I could never do. I didn't have strength. I never did exercise. So yeah, and my wife had to agree because she used to say, "नहीं नहीं मेरे को डर लगता है तू गिरा देगा." I said, "Boss, it's your birthday, or you have to agree to me. You cannot say no." So yeah, we made a nice video, and I picked her up and I walked up the stairs also like 3 4. So that was only possible when I loved myself and I decided to make myself better. But if I keep saying, "ये क्या है? I don't like this, I don't do this," that won't help you guys. That won't help anyone. Ask questions, guys. So
Yeah,
whatever
Okay.
you have.
I have one question.
Hi, Sheetal.
Hi Ajit, how are you?
Good, Sheetal.
Sorry, I late joined. It was already 11 o'clock here. Um, I just want to ask, like, how lung transplant help in terms of Raynaud's? Like, you still get blue finger, blue tips, or like, has it improved after your lung transplant?
So technically, as such, lung transplant has nothing to do with the fingers. Other than that, when you have good lungs, so suppose you're not on oxygen, so it is oxygenating blood same as it is for you, and now I have new lungs, so they are oxygenating same. But what helps is the immunosuppression. So the medicine Prograf which they give me, which is very heavy immunosuppression, that has subsided my scleroderma. And because scleroderma subsided, my finger and the blood flow has become better. That is one. Uh, they gave me vasodilator medications. Basically, I'm on amlodipine, I'm on sildenafil, 20 milligram in the morning and 10 milligram in the evening, and that helps. And luckily, I don't have any heart issues. So otherwise, sildenafil can create heart rate issues and all. But so you need to talk to your doctor and manage vasodilator. Yeah. But yeah, another thing which helps Sheetal is me being more disciplined about exercise. So before,
Yeah.
I think you came in, I was telling Neetu yesterday I did 1 hour 45 minutes of non-stop exercise. I ran, I went on high bars, I did so many more exercises yesterday. But immediately when I came home, I saw the swelling was gone. I actually yesterday experimented, since I exercise so much, not to take my vasodilators, and my fingers are fine. You can see them; they are nice and pink. Although I have not taken anything till now. And
Actually,
these I
I'm
lost.
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead, Sita.
yeah. No, please go ahead.
I lost these because of the bad blood flow earlier before transplant, but now I keep exercising and see. You can, I don't know if you can see the pink and nice color here.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
Yeah, see. So yeah, it helped me indirectly. Yes, you were saying.
Actually, yeah. I mean, I do feel like doing a lot of exercise, but I'm just scared that what if I go breathless? What if my lungs will not pump and, I might die? So that kind of, fear is there in my mind. So I don't know how to overcome that.
Sure.
I know like there are good benefits, but somehow I'm not able to push myself to, go, behind my limitation. I don't know why.
Very good. Did I tell you to run at the speed of 20 miles per hour? No.
No.
You're standing, I told another example I gave in the kitchen. Do 5 wall push-ups. Will you get breathless with it? Incorporate exercise in your daily life. Normal. Khade ho. Do you know standing on your toes 5 times go up down on your toes? You know, will strengthen your calves. Do that. So if you're not able to do what you say concentrated exercise like I did 1 hour 45 minutes, you can make it part of your lifestyle. Exercising. Okay, by the way, I'm taking showers is exercise, and Neetu can tell you. Neetu is on oxygen and how difficult it would be, even to shower. Right, Neetu?
Showering is
So,
a big exercise. Getting ready is an exercise for me.
Yeah.
so
Like if I have to conduct a webinar and I have to moderate, I have to get ready. So it takes at least half an hour for me to come in a presentable state. So that's a big exercise.
incorporate your more physically strenuous things in your daily life if you're not able to do concentrate exercise, and that's great. आप अगर it's okay, Sheetal, if you're not able to go 10 stairs एक साथ, take 3. Okay, another thing, exercise में the big problem psychological happens, we stop breathing, we don't realize. Notice it. आप कुछ करोगे ना, we just hold our breath. Slow down. Like when you're going up steps, there's the thumb rule: 1 step, 1 breath. 1 step, then 2nd step, then 3rd step. Do it. Pace it up. There is no rule that you have to do marathon running, or you are doing that 100 meters Olympic run. No. Pace it up. Dining table push-ups. So once you are comfortable with wall push-ups, do dining table push-ups. Slowly. Now, if you do dining table push-ups, it helps your upper chest, shoulder, your these muscles, your these I'm forgetting, bicep muscles, tricep muscles. It affects it. So do it, pace it up. And are you on oxygen by any chance, Sheetal?
No.
Do you cough when you do exercise?
Yeah. I cough a lot. Even I cough when I talk. Also, I cough.
Okay. Have you spoken to your doctor about oxygen and all?
No, but like I keep having my regular check. So recently I called my doctor and she said, okay, first get COVID test done and then your thyroid CT, and then we will see like what can be done. But she keeps suggesting me for the lung transplant. So she's telling me like I should think about lung transplant.
So lung transplants are good if you. So okay, transplant is easy, Sheetal. Surgery is very easy. Surgery is exactly like a car mechanic. He replaces a spare part in the car. That's exactly how it is. The problem is after that. Now I am on such heavy immunosuppression. I cannot really honestly go to India with that heavy level of immunosuppression. Or if I go, I have to be very, very, very careful. And see, again, in India, for example, people do not respect you enough. If you have mask, people say, "Arey, kya drama kar raha hai?" People just don't respect it. So it's become more and more difficult. So transplant is easy, and difficult is to manage it later. But if you manage it well, the way I did, you need to be very disciplined, very strict. Then life is cool. I don't even feel honestly मेरा transplant हुआ है. I told you, I'm better than earlier. If I can take my wife in my hands and walk, I mean, I'm doing decent. So yeah, but still you are not on oxygen, so I don't know. And if you want, send me your reports and I can send it to my doctor and see whether you are even ready for transplant. I don't think it doesn't look like, because you're talking to me, I can hear clarity of your voice. I don't know whether you're even in the transplant window.
But my like small activity makes me to make breathless. Even if I just walk from kitchen to laundry room, I just become breathless. So, and like I cough a lot. Like I mean, small activity makes me like cough. So
take
oxygen. And like even
it's okay. So Sheetal, talk to doctor about oxygen and which country you are in.
I'm in Australia, Melbourne.
Okay, so then anyways, your cost of your transplant, everything will be then picked up by government, right?
Yeah, it's all free, yeah, over here.
So, I mean, you at least, I mean, start with oxygen and see, and then, yeah, okay, doing transplant evaluation workups and getting transplant also takes a lot of time,
Yes, yes. So they
right? So
just
if you,
want me to, yeah, put for consultation so that, when I actually need it, it will be very easy for them to do it. So they said that like consultation process is very lengthy. So they just
Mhm.
want me to, get enrolled for that. They said we
I
will
think,
not do straight away, but yeah, we'll put you in the list.
yeah. And list maybe Sheetal, what happens because you're not even on oxygen, your score will be very low, which means by the time your number, it's a wait list, right?
Yes.
There will be people before you. So this, at least in US, it works on how severe is your disease, and that's how they assign you a score and decide what is your number in the queue. So considering you, anyways, your number will be very low. You will not get so quickly. So you can do workups. There's nothing wrong in doing workups. In any case, you never know. Workup they may find some magic and say, "Oh, he's having this problem because of this thing, and let's give her medication and fix her." So that also helps you.
I'll
Nothing.
definitely put myself for some exercise routine. Yeah.
Yeah, and tell doctor to give you oxygen, and if you do exercise with oxygen, then it's all perfect. Then you can do more exercise. That's
Okay.
how I used to do. Was to put oxygen 2-3 liters and to exercise.
Yeah. Maybe I'll talk to my doctor in my next meeting. Yeah.
And there is no shame in taking oxygen, Sheetal. It's medicine for us. Again,
Yes.
females think, "Arey, acha nahi lagta hai." It's okay. You need to decide acha nahi lagta is important, or you feeling great and having a good moment in life is important. You know?
Yes. It's
So yeah,
correct. Yeah.
just go ahead.
Yeah. And just my last question regarding diet. You mentioned that we should not have more of, I mean, try to avoid carbs. But you know what? Like, I tend to eat more rice or more, cheesy things or fried things just because I wanted to put on weight because I've actually lost so much of weight. So I'm not sure that's okay. But yeah, I just want to know like how should I eat so that I don't get
Your fat content, correct?
yeah.
Muscle, if you lose, so it's not that your nutrition is going down. It's just that you are exchanging the form of nutrition. Instead of having fat, you're having protein. Once you have protein, Sheetal, you'll develop muscles and you'll start building on good weight and the right weight in the future weight. Even for transplant purposes, okay, you will need more weight. And I'm saying, especially for your situation, you eat carbs less in the night because whatever you eat in the night is very heavy on the system in the diet to digest. It's not being used in your body in the night. Eventually, you end up excreting it most of it.
Okay.
What you need to do is a very heavy calorie oriented diet in the morning. So if you start morning with like a high calorie protein shake, half serving. So for
Mm-hmm.
example, a protein shake which is one serving is say 400 calories. So take half serving in the morning. You have 200 calories and start your day. That will a help you increase the weight over a period of time. You will feel good, and the protein in that will start building your muscle and you'll increase your weight.
Okay.
Do not stop eating, just alter eating. Did you follow what I say?
Yes, I understood. Yeah. Because I was
See,
eating a lot of junks, cheese, butter, thinking that, this might help me in putting on weight. I know that was not the right
no,
medium, but somehow, like, I felt that that's the only way I can put on weight. So I was
so
indulging myself a lot.
you want to put on weight, Sheila. You don't want to put on fat, right? You want to put on fat or weight.
I mean, yeah, fat actually, because if you see my face, my bones, like, like it has like shrink. So I really actually, look plump, which I was before, like, scleroderma was diagnosed. I was like that. But eventually,
Yeah, yeah,
I
I was
lost.
like that. I was like you only. Yes, I used to look like this. If I send you my earlier pictures, you'll be like, oh my God. but protein helped me. And talk to a nutritionist. No, why don't you go and talk to a nutritionist? Have you spoken to a nutritionist?
No.
Why? Why are you deciding what to eat, what not? Australia has great healthcare and it's free. Go use it.
Yeah. Actually, honestly speaking, I was not sincere enough in my appointments and all. I mean, like here, doctor actually follows me, and I keep avoiding and I keep postponing. But yeah, now after like because of COVID, I've attended so many sessions. Like now, I feel like I'm not actually doing any effort for my health, and it's like everything is so motivating, So now I'll be actually be very sincere.
Yeah. So you know the answer to it, why you are losing weight, and you need
Yeah,
to get
now I know.
doctors.
Like I was not actually not doing anything. I was not putting any effort. That's what I
Good.
realized.
I'm glad you're realizing. So go talk to nutritionists. And as I said, take a high calorie protein shake in the mornings. I think that will help. And take half serving in the morning and half in the evening. Like 12 grams protein with 200 calories and 12-gram protein with 200 calories, another in the evening. And you'll see a change. I promise you. Do you eat
Okay.
eggs?
Yes, I eat non-veg. I eat
Okay.
everything.
All scleroderma guys, if you eat egg, you should eat 2 to 3 egg whites, not egg yellows. Egg white every day. Okay, and you will see change. ये इंडिया में again they say, अरे egg खाओगे तो गर्मी होगी, ठंडी. अरे वैसे ही स्क्लेरोडर्मा की वजह से इतनी गर्मी ठंडी हो रही है यार. How does it matter? Just eat, no. Right, Neetu? There are so many myths we live in. Come out of it.
We
Eat. So,
are trying to come up with, a separate session on various myths which are floating around. So yes, we can cover this up that time.
eat eggs, everyone. 2 to 3 egg whites are very important. And eat in different form. Kabhi boiled खा लो, kabhi half fry खा लो, kabhi omelette खा लो. Whichever, yeah. Don't eat raw. I know few people will start saying, "अरे मैं raw ही खा लूँगा." Will give you some random infection on immunosuppression and मालूम पड़ा अभी दूसरा ही कुछ हो गया. So yeah, don't eat anything raw, especially any meat or products raw. Okay.
Right. Okay, Ajit.
Questions?
So we'll quickly
You're
take
done?
up. Yeah. No, we have a couple of more questions. We'll quickly
Okay.
take up a few other questions which we have. So Kirtida, a very dear friend, has asked, how did your family supported you during the journey?
Amazing. You have to have family support in this battle. And you need to always remember, other person can never understand your pain and agony. You need to educate your family. You need to make them more empathetic and more sympathetic towards you. Although it may sound odd, but end of the day, you will have to market yourself to your family. Hey, I have so much problem and I need support. Uh, my sister came in from India to US. She was here 5 months. Shruti, my wife, of course, she was with me. She had to leave her entire career. She's a lawyer. She came here. My chacha came here. Was one chacha was with me for 5 months and another for 3 months. My chachi was here, and I mean, believe me or not, in hospital she has cleaned my toilets and potty and everything. So I had that level of family support. We are very, very close joint family, and a lot. One of the reason there was a time, when I gave up, when I told Shruti, when I told my family that let me go, I just can't handle it. But it was at that moment when I was losing it, they step up and say, you know what, no, Ajit, you cannot leave. My wife would come and say, no, you cannot leave. We have a young daughter. You cannot lose hope like this. Remain there. My father will come, no, you are young, fight it out. Kya problem hai? My mother will come, say, nahi, don't give up. So yeah, family support is important. And if you somehow not getting family support, remember your friends are families. Especially in US and Sheetal, in Australia, right? Friends end up becoming families, extended families.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You will have I have like godfatherly friends here. Literally, there is a old couple, they treat Shruti as wife and they treat me as damad. They literally respect me like a damad. I feel so awkward. So if you do not, your own family is not supporting, you'll have to create a circle of friends who become your family. And it will help you. Yeah, Neetu. Next.
Very beautifully you explained, because even I keep telling that having that comfort circle of, people with whom you can share everything is very important. Either it's your friends or your family, or it can be your co-workers, anyone, but everybody needs to have that circle around them. So yeah,
And yeah,
coming
need to one more thing to
Mhm.
all you scleroderma warriors, we are your family. We are all together.
Absolutely.
Call us,
Absolutely.
text us anytime. We are here for each other.
Right.
Need to
So
come.
very quickly, I'll take Lata's question because she has to leave now. So she is talking about that
Okay.
she is taking plant protein. Now, what is the difference between whey protein, which you have talked about, but she is on plant protein?
Uh, Plant protein is good. Okay. The protein, any protein you take, right? It has to be processed in body through your liver, kidney, and then absorbed in blood, right? Whey protein is designed in a way it instantly gets absorbed and maximum amount of it gets absorbed. Whereas plant protein also gets processed, and what I understand, it may not get as absorbed in the body as much as whey. But I take plant protein. So, especially on the day of exercise, I need whey protein because within 1 hour of exercise, if you take whey protein, it straight away goes in your muscles, and your muscles get benefited almost immediately. On the day when I don't do exercise, I take plant protein because it's okay. I can give my body 6 hours to digest, and it's okay. I don't need 30 grams on normal day when I'm not exercising. But for you who want to pick up weight, say for example Sheetal or others, you should start with weight, come to a level of some weight, and then do the alteration between whey and plant protein. That's what I would think. But again, you can call a nutritionist and they can suggest you better.
Sure.
I keep on alternating between whey protein and plant protein.
Great. But Lata, another thing, if you don't exercise, it may not get fully absorbed. So exercising along with protein will help you 3 times more than what it is helping you now.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Though I'm doing exercise after operation regularly, you know, the operation which I had
Mm-hmm.
5 months back,
Mm-hmm.
knee operation, uh, and I am taking protein since last year. Means before accident, I was taking protein powder. At times, I used to not take also, but after accident, I am taking it regularly because I do some exercises of legs and all, and I felt that to heal my operation, post operation, my knee and all, I need some protein supplement.
And did it help you?
I can't judge because I don't know how much time it takes for a patient to be totally cured after operation. I am out of touch with my doctor over here because he is very, what kind of using buddhe and some kharoos type. He doesn't listen to you anyhow, and getting his appointment is a very difficult task. When once I asked him, can I take protein powder or something? So he said, आप लोग पता नहीं कहाँ से क्या क्या सुन के सीख के आते हो, and then you all start arguing something which is out of topic. So you see, so I started this protein of my own. So it's been nearly 8 months of my operation. I was operated on the 1st of January. So, but
In a
what
way,
I feel the recovery is I can walk now without any support. Though I am taking stick to be precautionary alert because doctor has told me now you don't have to fall, and for that reason I'm taking stick, but I can walk without support for some time.
yeah, so Lataji, he is in a way right. He's not the right guy to advise you. You need to go to a nutritionist. A rheumatologist really cannot tell you. and understand the protein. Unfortunately, that's how the world is. Here also, when I go to my hospital, I have one nutritionist, one pulmonologist, one oncologist, one endocrinologist, one blah blah blah. I have like 15 doctors who look after me. It's just that because I'm in a hospital scenario, they are all coordinated very well with the transplant division. But in a way, he's not saying you wrong, but he doesn't know anything about protein. Go to a nutritionist; he will give you right advice. Point one.
Okay.
Second question, yours was how long? Typically, any surgical thing, I've seen many patients count at least 12 months for you to really,
Yeah, because
really.
I have even they have implanted plates and screw and all, na. So that was I was also thinking it will take a year.
Yeah, and good you started taking protein. It's really helps. I don't know which plant-based protein you're taking, but they say hemp seed protein is really, really good. So, but it's very bad in taste. So you can just add some chocolate to it and have that's really great protein.
Okay.
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 Yeah,
So
Neetu.
friends, now I will take a leave.
All right,
Bye
Lataji,
for
thank you so
tonight.
much.
Same here. Why again, Lata ji? I said Lata is
Okay,
fine.
okay. Okay,
Okay, thank you,
Lata.
Lata.
Okay, bye all of you.
Okay, so the last question for today is Jitendra, our dear friend, wants to know what all medicines you are on currently and what are your symptoms currently?
I can tell you my medicine, but promise you will not start taking on your own. You have to talk to
Yes,
your doctor. It's
yes.
very.
Ajit, I'll make a disclaimer. I'm sorry, I should have done it earlier. So, usually, as part of support group, we don't discuss medicines. But as I always say, that whenever anybody is sharing their medicines, it does not mean that everybody has to be on the same medicine.
Correct.
There are various lines of treatments, firstly. Then we need to understand all of us are very, very different in different stages of disease. Few have lung compromised, few have heart compromised, and few have only and only Raynaud's problem, and few have only GI tract compromised. So the problem is all of us have different conditions. So please, whatever medicine advice you are getting right now, it does not mean that you should also be taking those medicines.
Yeah.
For any
And I'm
and
not
every
giving any advice. Correct.
yeah,
I'll just
absolutely.
share. So, yes. So, see, these are medicines I take. I take 22 medicines in a day. I just now took my morning medicines, which are only 7 pills. And then we have seven, another, then four, and then two. So, yeah. So, the medicines are broadly divided into 3 or 4 categories here for me. One is immunosuppression. So, here they give a cocktail of immunosuppression, not one, because the transplant is way more complicated than having simple scleroderma. So I get Prograf, which is extremely dangerous medicine if you do not take under doctor supervision. They do my blood counts every month religiously and they tweak things. And if you take Prograf without antibiotics and you give Prograf, say for example, 1 or 2 mg to a normal person, that person will die in like 2 months. I'm telling you. So do not play with these medicines. Then I take steroids, 5 mg prednisone, and then Cellcept. I'm sure Cellcept a lot of you already know. So I take 500 mg, like 215 morning, 215 evening. Then the second type of medicines are vasodilators. So I take two, which I already told you guys. I take sildenafil and I take amlodipine. So, and amlodipine also because my toes are still not, they're still very cold and they're blackish. So they do again a combination therapy of vasodilators for me. Okay. Third type of medicines are for my bone health. So I take calcium and I take vitamin D3 5000 IU. But that's because I take steroids every day. So I take overall 35,000 IU of D3 in a week. That's what. But again, that's me. It's not for anyone. You guys have to talk to your doctor because if you take excess calcium, your heart will start getting calcified and your pumping action of heart will reduce. So do not do that. We take calcium ऐसे अरे खा लो इसको खिला दो बच्चे को खिला दो advertisement आया no, don't do any of this stuff. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so third was these medicine and the fourth are anti-inflammatory drugs. So prophylactic antibiotics, sorry. So I get Bactrim thrice a week, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and then azithromycin 250 mg thrice a week. Now these medicines are antibiotic and they reduce inflammation in body. Now Prograf side effect, it increases cholesterol, so they gave me statin to reduce my cholesterol. Although my cholesterol is healthy, but still doctors give me that medicine. Okay. What else I take? Multivitamin, which is a must for all of us. I'm sure you all are taking a multivitamin every day, which is what we need for us. Yeah, I was also given earlier anti-allergics as a part of anti-inflammatory drug, because anti-allergy medicines do nothing but just reduce inflammation in your body. But now doctors stopped it for some reason. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So which one you're gonna take out of this? Don't.
Okay, Ajit. So, any symptoms you have of scleroderma? Though I'm sure you have already mentioned a lot of things, that the important thing which troubles you is Raynaud's right now. So, besides Raynaud's, any other symptom you have from scleroderma?
So yeah, so if I do not exercise for a week, I start getting muscle cramping in my thighs. It just becomes squeezing pain, and then I start taking painkillers. Then it's a vicious cycle. So one day, so one crocin will work, then next day one crocin is not sufficient, then I have to take two. Then eventually I realize, what, why it is happening? Exercise. I go and do exercise, and it starts working well. So most of the side effects of medicine and scleroderma will get overcome by exercise, and that happens in my case. It's just that I have a very strong will. I can shut my brains. ऐसे नहीं, मैं यही करूँगा. I'm not going to think pain. I'm not going to think I'm having discomfort in heart or muscle or this or that. I just go nahi. And yeah, problem है ना, तो problem का solution है. दर्द हो रहा है, take a painkiller. If you are feeling heaviness in your chest and less oxygen, take oxygen. Pump in few more liters of oxygen. Or even if you don't have oxygen like Sheetal, just tell doctor to prescribe you for exercise. They will be more than willing to. But they will be willing to do when you tell them, hey, I want to do exercise. I went up 10 steps and I got very breathless. Now I want to exercise, fit myself up. Now how do I do? Can you please give me some oxygen, or can you do something? Talk. So yeah, side effects. Apart from that, I have nothing. No other side effect. I told you my blood reports are normal. But that again, after 3 years of exercise, hard work, determination, will, positivity. Yes. And by the way, I'm a lawyer. I'm sitting here in US. I do my cases. I start case at 1 a.m. like in the night for me, and do cases till 4 o'clock in my night, because it's daytime in India. But I'm still fit. You have to do your exercise. Yeah, Neetu, what else?
That's it for today, Ajit. I thank you so much for your patience, for your determination to do this session for us today. And firstly, I would just like to thank everyone who joined us today. And because it's a weekend and people might have plans. And a special thanks to you. So it was really nice, having this chat with you. So we almost spoke for 2 hours. So it's like 1 hour, 45 minutes. And I think all the questions we have answered. And if anybody has any question, please send it to me. I will forward it to Ajit, and we'll get all the answers from him. And I have already shared his transplant video with all of you. Like when I shared this session details, and this particular PPT, if you want, I will share that with everyone also. And if there are any questions, we will be glad to answer that. Ajit, any parting tips you would like to share?
So I'm a lawyer, and I don't like to talk unless I'm getting paid for it. Like, that's how lawyers are. But I don't charge my family. So you are my family. So call me anytime. It's free. So call me, Neetu, or just kidding. We are family, and any issues you guys have, reach out, talk. There is nothing called bad question. All questions are good questions. So
guys, trust me, he is a very good counselor. He is actually a transplant counselor in US. So he works with those patients who are thinking about transplant and on their way to transplant. And yes, I can vouch for it. He is a very good counselor. And yes, more than happy to help all of us. So Ajit, there are a lot of thanks in our chat window for you today, and a special thanks from my side because you know I have bugged you on WhatsApp, on mails, and whatnot while we were designing this session and otherwise also. Thank you,
All right,
everyone.
guys, great talking. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night, good day. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.